Hello everybody. In previous lecture, we had discussed about the anatomy of the eye, intraocular pressure and glaucoma. Today is the second lecture of eye in which we will going to discuss about the optics of vision, which includes the mainly the aspect of physics of light rays. When the light rays they enter into our eye, they pass through the different medium, and during this traveling there will be a change in the certain aspect of physics of light rays. So and all this physics they are ultimately helps to form a image on a retina. The retina is a one of the layer of the eye which having a neural structures and which helps in the generation of receptor potential as well as action potential. Okay. So all these things we will going to discuss in optics of vision. So let's first see the specific learning objectives. So in this lecture we will try to know about refraction of light rays, to know about refractive index, to know about refractive power, to know about image forming mechanism of eye, and to know about accommodation and presbyopia. So first let's discuss some physical principles of optics. Now when light rays they travel into the air, they having a specific speed. The speed of light rays in air is 3 lakh kilometer per second. Now when this light enter from air into any medium, there will be a change in the speed of light. Light speed decreases when it passes through a transparent substance. For example, in this figure A, this all light rays they actually suggesting the beam of light, and the transparent line they are indicating the direction of light rays, and this vertical purple lines they suggesting the wave fronts. Okay, this one is the glass slide. Okay, so in this example the light enter from air into the glass slide. The speed of light in air is 3 lakh kilometer per second. When it enter into the glass slide, the speed is decrease, and say for example it become 2 lakh kilometer per second. Okay, and this one is known as the interface, the line between the air and glass, that is known as the interface. This interface here is perpendicular. So the physical principle says that when the light rays they strike any perpendicular substance or strike the interface perpendicularly, there will be no change in the direction. You can see the all the line they are going straight. Okay, so here there is no any change in the direction, or there is no any bending. Okay, now see the second example. Here the same glass slide is there, but the interface is angulated. Okay, this interface is angulated rather than the perpendicular as in first figure. Here it is angulated. So when the same parallel light rays they striking the angulated interface, it has to face the bending, or there will be a change in the direction of the light rays. Now this change in the direction of the light rays or bending, that principle is known as refraction of light rays. Okay, and this there is a one index to measure this refraction, and that index is known as a refractive index, and different medium having a different refractive index, and there is a one formula to calculate this refractive index. The refractive index is actually the ratio of speed in air to speed in substance. In our example, the speed in substance is 2 lakh kilometer per second. Speed in the air you are already knowing, it is 3 lakh kilometer per second. So refractive index of this substance, in our case the glass slide, is 3 lakh divided by 2 lakh. So refractive index is 1.5. The refractive index of air is 1 and refractive index of glass is 1.5. Now this bending it depends on two things. The degree of refraction increases as the difference in refractive index increases, and the degree of angulation increases. So the degree of refraction it depends on two things. One is the difference in refractive index. In our example, the refractive index of air is 1, refractive index of glass substance is 1.5. So, difference is that of 0.5. Suppose if this difference is more than 0.5, then simultaneously the degree of refraction increases. Okay. Second, the degree of angulation. In previous two figure, the one interface is perpendicular. In that case, there will be no any refraction. In the second, the interface is angulated, so it shows the refraction. So, the how much degree of refraction occur is also depends on degree of angulation. More angulated the surface, it causes the more refraction. The light rays bend when passing through an angulated interface with different refractive index. Okay. So, both this thing, degree of angulation as well as difference in the refractive index, they are responsible for causing the refraction or bending of light rays. The structure of eye have a different refractive index and cause light rays to bend. Now, this is the figure which shows the different structure of the eye, and you can see all the different structure from in which the light rays pass through. They all having a different refractive index. You can see that air having a refractive index of 1, cornea's refractive index is 1.38, aqueous humor's refractive index is 1.33, lens refractive index is 1.40, and vitreous humor's refractive index is 1.34. Now, you can also see the, or you can compare the difference in the refractive index. The difference in the refractive index between air and cornea is 0.38. The difference between cornea and aqueous humor is 0.05. The difference between aqueous humor and lens is 0.07, and difference between lens and vitreous humor is 0.06. So, the maximum difference in refractory index is between air and cornea, that is 0.38, and that is why the maximum refraction occur at the corneal interface. Okay, when the light rays enter from air into the cornea, the maximum refraction occur at this level. Okay, that we will see also later on. Okay, but these are the different refractive indices of different mediums. Now, refractive principle of lenses. So, in this figure you can see the two type of lens. This one is the biconvex lens and this one is biconcave lens. Now, parallel light rays, the light rays which are coming from far object, they are considered as a parallel. Okay. So, when parallel light rays they pass through the biconvex lens, they face the refraction, and here as a result of refraction, all the light rays they pass through a single point. On the opposite side of the lens, all the light rays pass through a single point, and this point is known as the focal point. Or we can say that all the parallel light rays, when they pass through the biconvex lens, they focus on a single point. This point is known as the focal point. And this type of bending by convex lens is known as the convergence. Okay. So, convex lens they converges the light rays. Here the one light ray which strike the surface perpendicularly, okay, and pass through the center of the lens, they go straight. Okay. So, the light rays which strike the interface perpendicularly and passing through the center of the lens, that rays go straight without facing any type of deviation, and the focal point is generally formed on that straight line. Okay. Now, there is another thing which is known as focal length. The focal length is different distance between this central point of the lens to the focal point. So, this distance is known as the focal length. The focal length is distance between the central point of lens and focal point. Now, this concave lens, when the light rays, parallel light rays, they pass through the concave lens, they face the divergence. Okay. So, concave lens, they diverges the light rays, but this one of the light rays which strike the concave lens perpendicularly, they also go straight without facing any deviation. Okay. So, in this figure you can see the focal point and focal length both for convex and concave lens. Okay. So, here as we had discussed in previous figure that convex lens, they causes the convergence and the focal point is from opposite side of the lens. Okay. And this, therefore, the focal length, which is the distance between the central point of lens and the focal point, is positive in case of convex lens. In our example, this figure, it is say +6. The +6 is the focal length of convex lens. And the question is, where is the focal point of concave lens, because concave lens, they are causing the divergence of light rays. So, here the to form the focal point, you have to imagine a extended line on this straight line, the straight line which is passing through the lens center without facing any divergence. Okay. So, when you extend this the line which is diverging, if you extend in this direction, it form a one imaginary focal point on this straight line, and here the focal point is negative. So, focal length is here -6. In case of convex lens, it is +6, here it is -6. So, this is the difference between focal point and focal length in case of convex and concave lens. Now, cylindrical lens, whatever we had seen in previous figure, they are the spherical lens. Here now we discuss the refraction by cylindrical lens. So, this one is the spherical lens which we had discussed, convex spherical lens. So, all the parallel lines or parallel light rays, they when they pass through the biconvex spherical lens, they all face the convergence in all plane of the lens, and they form a single point that is known as a focal point. But in case of cylindrical convex lens, the refraction is different in different plane. The refraction is different in horizontal plane, and the refraction is different by vertical plane. So, instead of focal point, it form a one line that is known as the focal line. Okay. So, this one is the focal line. You can understand better in this figure that this two figure shows the difference between the refraction of spherical lens and cylindrical lens. Okay. So, when and we have take a section, one transverse section which shows the refraction by transverse plane, and vertical section which shows the refraction by vertical plane. Okay. So, this is the spherical lens. When the parallel light rays pass through the transverse plane, it face the convergence and form a single point. Same way, when it pass through the vertical plane, it also face the convergence and form a focal point. This is about the spherical lens. But in case of cylindrical lens, in transverse plane it form a focal point, but in vertical plane, because they are striking perpendicularly, there will be no any refraction and it form a one line that is known as the focal line. So, this is the difference between the refraction by spherical lens and cylindrical lens. Now, example of spherical convex lens. So, this you are very familiar, and you were perform some of you might have performed this experiment during your school time. Okay, this one is the magnifying glass, and when we put this magnifying glass in the wave of sun rays, the sun rays pass through this magnifying glass, they act as a spherical convex lens, and at certain distance it form a focal point. If you put a one paper on this focal point, then after some times this paper start to burn. Okay, so this focusing of sun rays by this magnifying glass is one of the common example that how refraction occur by a spherical convex lens. And the example of cylindrical convex lens is a test tube. If you fill the test tube with the water and put in front of any light source and put a one paper on the opposite side of light source of test tube, okay, then first you see the shadow of test tube on that paper, but as you bring the paper closer to the test tube at one particular point, you see a one vertical line. Instead of shadow, you see a one vertical line. So that line is known as the focal line. So that is the example of cylindrical convex lens. Now effect of curvature of lens on focal point. So here we have a three figure. In uppermost figure you see that the parallel light rays they pass through the biconvex lens and it form a one focal point. Now the second figure, the same lens is there, but here the light source is different. The light source is near, and then when the light source is near, it form a diverging light rays. So this diverging light rays, when it pass through the convex lens, the focal point is somewhat far than the first figure. Okay, so here the focal length is more. In the third figure, the same light source as that of the second figure, but once again the focal point is near to the lens, and this is because of increase in the curvature of the lens. So if we increase the curvature of the lens, we can bring the focal point nearer to the lens, or we can decrease the focal length. Okay, so you can compare all these three figure, that in the first figure the light rays are parallel, so focal point is different. In second figure the light rays are diverging, so it push the focal point somewhat far from the lens, and the same light source can bring the focal point nearer to the lens by increasing the curvature of the lens. So this is the importance of change in the curvature of the lens, and by changing the curvature of the lens we can change the focal point and focal length. Now formation of image by convex lens. So first we see the first figure, this figure A. Here we have a two light source, this one and this one. When the light rays which are originating from this two light source, they pass from the convex lens, and on the opposite side if we see the focal point, then the light rays from this source they form a focal point here, which is exactly opposite and inverse on the opposite side of lens, because the set line or light rays which pass through the center of the lens, which form a focal point exactly opposite side to the point source. So the point source, the center of the lens and focal point, they are in the straight line, and accordingly other ray they focus on that focal point. So same way this light source is down, but it form a focal point on upper side, and here the light source is up, but it form a focal point on downside, on opposite side of convex lens. Suppose instead of this point source, if we put a one image, okay, and put a one paper opposite side to the lens, and then we see the formation of image on that paper, but that image is upside down and it is reverse, okay, laterally reverse. Okay, image is upside down and laterally reverse. So from this we can say that the convex lens, they form the image which is inverted and reverse with respect to the object, and same type of lens is situated in our eye, and the image which is formed on retina is upside down and laterally reverse. But when this image is reach up to the brain having a tendency to again change the direction and reverse the image. Okay, so the brain is used to see the upside down image as a straight image. So upside down image which is formed on retina is become straight once again when it is interpreted by a brain or by a visual cortex. So this is about the formation of image by convex lens. Now refractive power of lens. How much amount of refraction is done by the lens, that can be measured with their power of lens, and this power is measured in the unit which is known as diopter. So diopter is equal to 1 meter divided by focal length. Now we have a 3 example. In first figure, the parallel light rays which pass from the convex lens and form a focal point at a distance of 1 meter. So here the focal length is 1 meter. So if we want to measure the power of this lens, then it is 1 meter divided by 1 meter. So we have a power of 1 diopters. In second lens, here the focal length is 0.5. So to measure the power of this lens, we have to divide 1 meter by 0.5 meter, and we will get the diopter of 2 or power of 2 diopter. Same way in third, the focal length is only 0.10 meter. So here the power is 10 diopters. Now if you observe all these three figures, there is a difference in the curvature of the lens. As the curvature of the lens increases, the power of lens increases, and the same thing happen in our eye when we shift the gaze from far object to near object. Okay, that we will discuss in detail in later on. Okay. Now the concept of reduced eye. The in this reduced eye is actually a one hypothetical structure which we had formed to make the thing simple. Okay, because you are all aware that different medium of eye having a different refractive index. Okay, it means when the light rays pass through all this medium, they have to face a different degree of refraction, and it is difficult to measure this different degree of refraction at each and every interface. Okay, so to make the thing simple, to make the optics of the eye simple, mathematically or hypothetically we have summated all the medium and imagine that there is only one interface where the refraction occur. Okay, and that type of figure is known as the reduced eye. The reduced eye is a hypothetical structure in which the cornea, aqueous humor and vitreous humor are replaced with a single medium with a uniform refractive index of 1.33. The surface of this hypothetical medium is spherical and located 1.4 millimeter behind the cornea surface. You can compare, this one is the reduced eye, this is the actual eye. So this is the corneal surface, but here the interface is 1.4 millimeter behind the corneal surface, and the nodal point of medium is therefore located 5.6 millimeter behind the air medium interface. So this one is the nodal point. You can compare it with the center of the lens. Okay. The light rays passing through the nodal point do not undergo any refraction. So, the light rays which is passing through the nodal point, they are going straight. Okay. Now, the plane at the nodal point, that is known as the nodal plane, it is believed that all the refraction they occur at this nodal plane. In the reduced eye, we have imagined that all the refraction occur at this nodal plane. Okay. And the distance between the focal point, because in the eye all the light rays they are ultimately focused on the retina. So, our focal point is on retina. So, focal length is the distance between this nodal plane and retina. This distance is 17 millimeter. So, from this we can calculate the power of this reduced eye. Okay. The refractive power of reduced eye is 1 meter divided by 17 millimeter. So, we have to convert this 17 millimeter into meter. So, 1 meter divided by 0.017 meter, and that gives us the power of about 59 diopters. So, power of reduced eye is 59 diopters. Actually, the power of schematic eye or actual eye is also 59 diopters, because this distance is also 17 millimeter. The distance between lens and retina is 17 millimeter. So, that is why the power of our eye is 59 diopters. Now, out of this 59 diopters, about 2/3 of refractive power of eye is provided by anterior surface of cornea. What will be the reason? Because the maximum difference in refractive index between air and cornea. Any other two medium, they having a less refractive index difference, while the difference between refractive index of air and cornea is maximum. That is why the maximum refraction occur at the corneal surface. The refractive power of lens of eye is around 20 diopters. Out of this 59 diopters, the 20 diopter is provided by lens, but the maximum refraction occur at corneal, anterior surface of cornea. And the formation of image on retina, the image is inverted and reversed with respect to object. That thing we had discussed just before few slide, that the image which is formed on the retina is inverted and reversed with respect to the object. But this image when reach to the brain, once again it is reversed and becomes straight. Okay. So, whatever we are seeing in our surrounding world, any object, their image is formed upside down and laterally reversed on retina, but when this image reach to the brain, it is again reversed and it become straight. Okay. Now, the mechanism of accommodation. Now, this mechanism of accommodation is mainly to see the near object, because the parallel light rays which coming from far object, they are focused on retina, but when we see the near object, these light rays become diverging. Instead of parallel, they become diverging. So, if we keep the lens as such when we are seeing the far object, so instead of focusing on the retina, the diverging light rays, they focus behind the retina. So, when the light rays form behind the retina, it makes the image blur. Okay. So, to make or to see the things clearly, all the focus must be on retina. Okay. So, we have to bring that diverging light rays or the focal point which is formed because of diverging light rays on a retina. Okay. And for that we have to increase the power of lens. So, the mechanism by which our eye can increase the power of lens, that mechanism is known as mechanism of accommodation. So, in this figure, the lens system, our lens is an elastic structure which is made up of proteinous elastic material. Okay. And normally it is spherical. If you keeps the lens in the relaxed state, it one of the spherical structure, but in our eye, it is mainly stretched by a suspensory ligaments. Okay, the fiber of suspensory ligament, it keeps the lens tense in normal condition. When we are seeing a far object, at that time the lens is remain tense by a stretching of suspensory ligament, and this ligament is attached with the ciliary muscles. So these ciliary muscles in the relaxed state, the suspensory ligamental fiber are tense, and it also keeps the lens in the tense form, or we can say the lens is somewhat flat than its usual characteristic. Okay, so the lens is flat when we are seeing a far object. Now when we focus on a near object, the light rays which enter into our eye, it stimulate the third cranial nerve nuclei in the brainstem, and from third cranial nerve nuclei, the parasympathetic fiber, they get activated and they send the parasympathetic signal to the ciliary muscles, and ciliary muscle they get contract, and because of the contraction of the ciliary muscle, this suspensory ligament they move towards the cornea, and because of this type of movement, this suspensory ligament become relaxed. The fiber of suspensory ligament become relaxed, and when the suspensory ligament fiber become relaxed, the lens become more spherical, and when the lens surface become more spherical, it increase the refractive power, it increase the curvature of the lens, it increase the refractory power, and the light rays they ultimately going to focus on a retina. So this whole mechanism, it is known as mechanism of accommodation. Accommodation is controlled by parasympathetic nerve. This parasympathetic fiber they are running in the third cranial nerve nuclei, uh, which is oculomotor nerve. Now the presbyopia, that is a loss of accommodation by lens. Now we have just discussed that lens is an elastic structure which is made up of proteinous material. As the age increases, this protein is denatured, and it is converted into fibrous material, and it become less elastic. Okay, so because of loss of elasticity of the lens, the ability to change the curvature is decrease, and that's why as the age increases, there is decrease in the ability of accommodation, or there will be a loss of accommodation. So this loss of accommodation, as the age increases, that thing or that condition is known as presbyopia. Now before going into detail about the presbyopia, we have to first uh, knew two things. One is the far point, another is the near point. The far point of normal eye is infinite. It means the parallel light rays which are coming from far object, they are actually coming from the object which are situated at infinity. Okay, and our eye can see at infinity. This is somewhat interesting because the question is, can we see the image which are situated at infinite? Uh, the example is that we are able to see the stars in the sky, we are able to see the sun, we are able to see the moon. All these are the objects which are situated very far. Okay, we can say at the infinite. But as far as the this object they are emitting the light rays, or the light rays that are able to reach up to our eye, we are able to see that object. Okay, so our far vision, we can say they are infinite, but the near object, there is a one limit beyond which we cannot see the near object clearly. Okay, the closest distance and which the eye can see object clearly with maximum accommodation is the near point. Okay, so the object which is nearer than this near point, we are not able to see it clearly. Okay, so the near point in normal eye is 10 centimeter. So any object which is closer than 10 centimeter, it is difficult to see that object clearly. Okay, so in normal eye the near point is 10 centimeter. Now in presbyopia, as our age increases, there is a regression of near point. It means the near point goes far. Okay, you can see in this graph that as the age increases, the near point is going far. Normally it is 10 centimeter. Here the distance is given in meter. So normally the near point is 10 centimeter, and as the age increases, the near point goes far. Okay, this phase myopia thing start at the age of around 50. Okay, normally in children, the accommodation power of lens is 20 diopters, and to see the near object, this power can increase up to 34 diopters. It means the lens having the ability to accommodate plus 14 diopters more, at the power of plus 14 diopters more. This power become, instead of plus 14, at only plus 2 at the age of 50, and this accommodating power is become almost 0 at the age of 70. Okay, so this is the regression of near point in presbyopia, and this presbyopia occur at the old age because of the loss of accommodation power of lens, because of loss of elasticity of the lens, as well as sometimes the ciliary muscles also become weak. So weakness of ciliary muscle is one of the cause of loss of accommodation at old age. So this is about the presbyopia. So with this we will complete our lecture. Thank you.